Talk to me. What's new? What is happening? Why is it that it has suddenly become so important?
We now live in an information age where we operate our lives online in the digital world. We still have rights, and those rights have to be respected even in the digital space. So our government, our legislation, recently passed a legislation, the Data Protection Act, that sought to build a framework to ensure that we still enjoy rights in the information space.
All right, so this new act, this new Data Protection Act, I hear there are some mandates, some things that it mandates, that companies are now hurrying up to get some things done. Talk to me. What are the requirements? What are the deadlines that we have to meet? What are the changes that we need to make right away?
The government gave us 2 years to put ourselves in a position to comply with the Data Protection Act. That 2 years started to run from December 1, 2021. So as of today, we have a little more than 4 months. So all data controllers, that's all companies, regardless of size, have to be in a position to register with the Office of the Information Commissioner by December 1.
All companies, regardless of size, that's what you said?
Yes, and even if you're not a company, all data, anyone that processes personal data, if you sell chicken and you have your customer's number in your phone, you are required to register with the Office of the Information Commissioner.
Okay. Talk to me about that process. What does that process entail?
I'm going to start with what it's not.
All right.
It is not registering with the Registrar of Companies.
Okay.
It is not registering, putting a name on a tax roll. It is more like trying to register, or it's more like trying to be listed on the stock exchange, where you have at least 18 months or 12 months worth of work to do.
And then for a number of people, they have to do that in 4 months now.
Correct. Well, that's only half of what you really should do, because that's not compliance. Compliance is implementing the data protection compliance framework yet. So the first thing you have to do is register and then implement the framework, and that is what should have happened in the 2 years. But now we are just focusing on registering, and that means pulling all the information you process together. It means identifying whose personal data you're processing. It means identifying why you have all the data you have. It means identifying who you are sharing it with. And finally, it means declaring to the Office of the Information Commissioner what controls do you have in place to protect that personal data that you are processing.
So, the bartender in the bar down by Stuart Town, who writes down names in the book of Johnny, who ordered 5 pints of beer and 2 flasks of rum. That's data?
That bar operator has to register. Personal data is any information that can be used to either by itself or in conjunction with any other piece of information to identify you. So once you write your name in a book, you are processing personal data. Once the owner of the bar look at it, he's processing personal data.
So this is big thing. Are we anywhere near aware of all of the things that we need to do? How are we going to, certainly for we're pushing MSMEs, medium and small companies, to help us grow the economy. I can understand the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the Bank of Nova Scotia's of this world. They'll be able to get there.
Correct.
They can hire expensive people like Mr. Cameron.
No, well, like a design privacy.
Design privacy, that's a company. But how will the regular Joe operating as small business?
So that's a big challenge, because these consulting firms have no incentive to engage a small man who can't afford to pay big fees when there's a big market for persons who are prepared to pay big fees. We have identified that, and design privacy is even more focused on ensuring privacy rights are respected across the board. And so for that to happen, everyone has to comply. And with that in mind, we have actually created a do-it-yourself solution that avoids the cost of the expensive consultants and gives you the requisite knowledge and confidence to walk you through the various steps you have to go to be able to put yourself in a position to register. So it's a combination of, well, what we've done is captured all our experience and knowledge and packaged it in a form of e-learning type components. Then we have curated an experience, a software solution experience, a virtual experience where you take you through each step, step by step, so you will not get lost in the process. If it is you need help, we have also leveraged AI. So we have AI chatbots available to assist you if you get stuck. And if AI can't help you, you could still pick up the phone and call.
Here's the elephant in the room, Sir Cameron. I'm sure, as with all legislation, there are penalties if you are not compliant. What are the penalties in this case?
No, man, that's not an elephant. So you go to jail, you do not pass go, you do not collect $200. That's a lighter penalty.
That's a lighter one.
If it is, the Office of the Information Commissioner is not satisfied that you have adequately implemented the data processing standards, she can tell you to stop processing personal data until you have implemented the data processing standards. Let's go back to the example of the barman who writes down the name in the book. That means the barman can write down any name in any book. That means the bar operator can look and see what money, what his expenses and income has been for that day or week. That means your business locked down. So that is the one that is often not appreciated. So that is why I say, to go to jail, you're going to come out.
Yeah, you can get beer.
And then your business will continue as well. But when you say stop processing personal data, that goes to the heart of
what a business is.
Correct.
This is really big. And I don't think most businesses in Jamaica are aware of what it is that needs to be done. How can we make this big shift between now and then? So
I must commend the stock exchange for creating a platform like this, because this is a sort of education that is necessary. But the government and the Office of the Information Commissioner does have a role to play in making the persons and the market that they are going to regulate aware. In the same manner that we had an aggressive NIDS or public awareness program, we need a greater one for the Data Protection Act, because these are now rights that all citizens enjoy, that they need to be aware of. And when you look at the dire penalties that are associated or that will be imposed upon companies that do not comply, they do have a duty to raise the level of awareness, and with the help of private sector entities like the stock exchange.
Are we likely to see, is it possible, given the plethora of new businesses or small businesses that we are pushing, is it possible to meet this deadline? Are we likely that the government may have to recant a little bit and give some additional time?
So no, most organizations are not going to meet the deadline in no uncertain terms, given the work that has to be done. But about 6 weeks ago, the Minister of Technology, Minister Vaz, spoke in Parliament and said there will be no extension.
Wow.
So that that was the position of the government as of 6 weeks, approximately 6 weeks ago, because that has been a question that has been floated on several occasions from several corners of society.
So we're likely to see then, if you believe, Sir Cameron, that most companies, especially the small companies,
and the big ones as well,
will not meet this deadline. The government is adamant that deadline is deadline, not moving the bar, we're not changing the goalposts. We're likely to see criminals operating.
When you look at how countries across the world have implemented similar legislation, because as privacy practitioners, it is part of our daily operations to read all of the decisions that have been handed down and how the implementation is going. Even after the 2-year transition period, they use the next 2 years for a more elevated or specific awareness type program. So while if they find you in breach, they would set out guidelines as to what you should do. And they would direct that to you. So instead of punishing you, they would say, okay, you are in breach and these are the steps you should follow. And if they find that the breach is consistent among a large number of players, they may even then publish guidelines. However, by year 1 or year 2, when they know they have published guidelines, they have handed down recommendations, and you're still in breach, that's when you're going to start seeing the status of people changing from...
And this is free advice you're giving to the government and no lawyers.
No, so, and I want to emphasize that. If you notice, I said as privacy practitioner, because I do not, Design Privacy is not a law firm, not a law practice, and it is not an IT firm either. We focus, is a practitioner's area that focuses on implementing the Data Protection Act, and we're not sitting from the position or speaking from the position of an attorney.
Okay, very interesting point. What would you say as we look to wrap this program? And boy, I don't know why they're giving me the wrap-up signal, and we have so much more to talk about. But what would you say to both the government and the companies at large? What's your parting word to them? 4 months to go. What do we do?
The government has a duty to quickly escalate, elevate, or create and execute a PR awareness program. Entities need to know what their obligations are and where they can go to get help. In terms of data controllers, the law doesn't say if it is the government doesn't educate you or make you aware, you can't be found guilty.
Ignorance of the law is the excuse.
No, the legislation has been passed. You need to seek the requisite expertise, or you have solutions like the self-register solution that allows you to help yourself. So no longer can you cry, where am I going to get the money from? I can't afford a big consultant. We have made it easy for you. So you can go to our website at dpaselfregister.com, and you can educate yourself around the process and start the process online. So that's dpaselfregister.com.
All right, there you have it, viewers. You have to get busy and get this thing done. If you're collecting data, you have to register with the Data Commissioner and implement and execute all the different things that need to be done for you to be compliant under the new Data Protection Act. We want to thank Chukwuemeka Cameron of Design Privacy for coming and talking to us and helping us to be a little bit more aware of all that needs to be done. As we always say here on Let's Talk Stocks, we give you information to make better financial decisions. Come back with us Monday morning at 9 when we'll have an interesting and exciting program lined up for you.